The word was trending this year. I don't think Blake Lively was that bad. Luigi's so hot right now. Who knew, besides Travis Kelce, that you could become so popular with women by shooting loads into a billionaire?
Imagine this. Blake Lively, a name synonymous with elegance, wit, and Hollywood prestige, is suddenly thrust into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. She's embroiled in a high-stakes lawsuit against her co-star and director, Justin Baldoni.
Turn now to a new lawsuit and that bombshell Hollywood scandal. Justin Baldoni, the director and co-star of the hit movie It Ends With Us, is being sued by his former publicist for defamation and breach of contract. It comes just days after his co-star, Blake Lively, accused him of sexual harassment and a smear campaign.
Accusing him of harassment and a deliberate campaign to tarnish her reputation. Heavy, right? But just as public support is pouring in for her, Netflix, a company that loves to market itself as progressive, airs a comedy special with a joke that tears into Lively. The timing couldn't be worse. The public is outraged. Social media is in flames. And Netflix, they're facing a PR crisis that might just be their worst yet. What happened? Why is everyone so furious? And what does this mean for Netflix, Blake Lively, and comedian Hannah Berner? Stick around because we're unraveling a story so wild. It's hard to believe it's real. Let's start with the moment that sparked it all. Netflix recently released Torching 2024, a roast of the year, a comedy special featuring stand-up performances and celebrity roasts.
You're Torching 2024. You got Sam Morril, Tim Dillon, Miss Pat, Mark Norman, Hannah Berner. Any predictions?
Whew, vicious roast. Love you.
Love you too.
Now, if you've ever watched a roast, you know they're supposed to be edgy. They thrive on crossing lines. But there's a difference between being edgy and being cruel. During this special, comedian Hannah Berner made a joke about Blake Lively. What exactly was said? Well, I won't repeat it verbatim here. It was that harsh.
The word was trending this year. I don't think Blake Lively was that bad.
Social media quickly lit up with accusations that the joke was tone-deaf, disrespectful, and misogynistic. People were furious. Why? Because the special aired mere days after Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni made headlines. To understand why this backlash has reached fever pitch, we need to step back and look at the storm Blake Lively is currently weathering. This isn't just Hollywood gossip, but a legal battle that exposes some of the darkest undercurrents in the industry. Blake Lively, known for her sharp wit and grace, has filed a jaw-dropping lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, her co-star and director in the upcoming film It Ends With Us. And the accusations? They're nothing short of explosive. Blake alleges that Baldoni subjected her to repeated instances of sexual harassment during the production of the film. But it doesn't stop there. She's also accusing him of orchestrating a calculated smear campaign to tarnish her name and damage her career. Let's pause for a moment. A woman standing at the height of her career, who's given us unforgettable performances in hits like A Simple Favor and The Age of Adeline, is now being forced to defend her integrity in a court of law. Now, think about the courage it takes to come forward with accusations like this. Hollywood is a machine, one where power dynamics are everything, and speaking out against someone with influence can end careers. We've seen it time and time again. For every #MeToo success story, there's another tale of silence, of careers destroyed, of voices drowned out by the weight of the industry. Blake Lively isn't just fighting for herself. She's fighting for every woman in Hollywood who's been told to stay quiet, to accept mistreatment as part of the job, to smile through the pain and keep moving. And she's doing it while the whole world watches. But here's where it gets even more gut-wrenching. While Blake is bravely stepping into the spotlight to hold Baldoni accountable, Netflix, a platform that prides itself on championing diversity and women's voices, airs a comedy special that trivializes her pain. A roast. A joke, a punchline. Think about that for a second. It's like a slap in the face, not just to Blake, but to everyone who's ever supported her. The timing couldn't be more insulting. Days, mere days after the lawsuit makes headlines, Netflix airs the special. The joke isn't just cruel, it's a gut punch to someone who's already fighting for her reputation, her truth, and her justice. Imagine what that must feel like. You're standing in the eye of a storm, the weight of an entire industry pressing down on you, and then this. It's not just insensitive, it's brutal. This is the kind of moment that makes you question everything. Did no one at Netflix think about the optics? Did no one consider the human being behind the headlines? And now, let's turn to the person at the center of the firestorm, Hannah Berner. For those unfamiliar unfamiliar, Berner is a rising star in the comedy world. She's got the sharp wit, the unapologetic delivery, and the fearless attitude that make for a killer roast performer. She's built a brand on pushing boundaries, saying the unsayable, and thriving in the uncomfortable spaces where most comedians fear to tread. But this time, the boundaries pushed back hard. The joke she made about Blake Lively during Torching 2024 wasn't just any offhand remark. It was biting, it was personal, and it hit like a sucker punch, especially given the timing. The kind of joke that cuts deep. Too deep. So deep, in fact, that the audience reaction wasn't laughter, it was outrage. Here's where things get messy. Berner claims that the special was filmed before Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni became public knowledge. On the surface, that might seem like a reasonable defense. After all, she couldn't have known, right? But let's dig deeper. Should ignorance excuse impact? Comedy, as they say, is all about timing. And in this case, the timing couldn't have been worse. Whether intentional or not, the airing of that joke so soon after Lively's allegations sent a clear message, one that many interpreted as dismissive, tone-deaf, and shockingly cruel. But let's not forget, this wasn't a live performance. This was a pre-recorded special that went through multiple layers of editing, production, and review before it hit Netflix's streaming platform, which begs the question, why wasn't the joke cut? Did no one at Netflix flag it? Did Berner herself not think twice about the optics when news of the lawsuit broke? Or brace yourself, was the inclusion of that joke a calculated risk designed to stir controversy and grab headlines? Berner has since released a statement addressing the backlash. She explained that the joke was written and performed without knowledge of the lawsuit, and she expressed her support for Blake Lively. On paper, it sounds like the right thing to say, but words can only go so far when the damage has already been done. Many fans and critics argue that her apology feels like too little, too late. Some have even called it performative, questioning her sincerity and asking why she hasn't done more to take accountability. And let's not overlook the power dynamics at play here. Hannah Berner might be a comedian, but she's also a public figure with a platform. With that platform comes responsibility, a responsibility to understand the impact of her words. Yes, comedy is meant to provoke, to challenge, to push the envelope. But does that mean it gets a free pass to ignore context, to ignore the very real people who might be hurt in the process? Berner's defenders argue that she's being unfairly targeted, that comedians have always pushed boundaries, and that this is just another case of cancel culture gone too far. They point to the fact that roasting is an art form built on exaggeration and satire, one that's meant to make us laugh at the absurdity of life, not take every word at face value. But others aren't buying it. They say that humor doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's shaped by the world around it, by the news, by the stories we tell ourselves and each other. And when a joke lands at the wrong time or hits the wrong target, it ceases to be funny. It becomes something else entirely, something harmful. So what does this mean for Hannah Berner's career? Will she weather the storm, leaning on the age-old defense that comedy isn't supposed to be safe? Or will this backlash become a defining moment, a lesson in the limits of laughter and the importance of context? One thing's for sure, the comedy world is watching, and so is the internet. And as we all know, the internet doesn't forgive easily. This brings us to Netflix, the streaming juggernaut that's no stranger to controversy. Over the years, Netflix has faced backlash for everything from controversial shows to questionable marketing campaigns. Remember the uproar over Cuties? Or the criticism they received for Dave Chappelle's special The Closer? Netflix has always walked a fine line between pushing boundaries and exploiting sensitive topics for views. And now, with the Blake Lively joke, it seems they've crossed that line again. Fans are calling out Netflix for airing the joke despite knowing about Lively's lawsuit. After all, every single piece of content on the platform goes through a rigorous review process. Someone, somewhere, made the decision to leave that joke in. And now, Netflix is bearing the brunt of the backlash. Let's talk about the reaction. As soon as the special aired, social media exploded. On Twitter, hashtags like #boycottNetflix and #supportBlake started trending. Fans voiced their outrage, accusing Netflix and Berner of being insensitive. One user tweeted, "Netflix had the chance to cut that joke and they didn't. That's not a mistake, it's a choice." Another wrote, "Blake Lively is going through hell right now, and Netflix thinks it's okay to humiliate her on a global platform. This is disgusting." It wasn't just fans either. Industry insiders and celebrities also chimed in, with many calling for an official apology from Netflix. The pressure is mounting, and it's clear that the streaming giant can't sweep this under the rug. So what happens now? Will Netflix issue an apology? Will Hannah Berner face consequences? Or will the backlash fade as the internet moves on to the next scandal? And how will this impact Blake Lively's ongoing lawsuit? These are the questions we're all waiting to see answered. One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Netflix should have cut the joke? Should Hannah Berner face more backlash? Or was this just an unfortunate coincidence? And what does this mean for Blake Lively's fight for justice? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you found this breakdown as shocking as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.